too soon to tell if Sue has gone underground or if his failure to appear in court today was simply, somehow, an honest mistake. It seemed bound to happen. A deepening credit crunch is threatening much more than the subprime mortgage market. The latest theory is that radiation given off by cell phones interferes with the Bee's navigation system. Murphy says the IRS actually helped him make his decision after he realized he would owe income taxes based on the value of the ball, even if he didn't sell it. The neighborhood is shut down in an early morning drama that started with gunfire and an armed suspect setting off a high-speed chase with Elk Grove police. Coit Tower, one of San Francisco's most popular tourist spots, turned into a deadly crime scene today. Police tell us someone started shooting after two groups of men got into an argument this morning. Officers are still searching for suspects. Now, in that same area earlier today, it was a frantic scene when crews started piling sandbags along that levee. Even state prisoners were called in to help residents brace for that potential flooding. Tremendous damage in Tennessee this evening after a string of tornadoes moved through that state. At least 12 people were killed. But taking a look at this damage, it's really surprising the toll wasn't much higher. We're going to bring this to you in just a bit. This is an amazing story about a 76-year-old David McNay. We were out in Newman, California.
Right.
He risks his life to save his horses, and I'm not going to tell you the ending because we have this dramatic video.
I saw some of the tease video.
Extraordinary.
He signed a new law intended to keep teens and the rest of us safe. KTVU's Patti Lee joins us now live from Redwood City with details. Patti.
Well, John, California joined 14 states and the District of Columbia today in implementing laws designed to make being safe not just a force of habit, but a law. Lovina Fernandez got her permanent license 2 months ago, and driving is not yet second nature.
It's pretty scary, but it's fun, you know, I'm getting used to it still.
She admits some teens are susceptible to distractions, like the radio, but also PDAs, pagers, and cell phones.
Some of them do take their phone calls, but they try to keep it under like a minute. Normally it's just like, okay, hi, I'll call you back or something when I get home.
But most people aren't so disciplined. According to the CHP, cell phone use is the leading cause of distracted driver accidents. And a Ford Motor study revealed teen drivers are 4 times more distracted than adults by cell phone use.
I guess it's better for people who don't crash, but sometimes you have to talk on the phone.
Today, Arnold Schwarzenegger signed a bill that bans anyone under the age of 18 from using electronic devices while driving.
We just came out with a report that the majority of traffic accidents from teenagers is because they're distracted, because of cell phones, laptops, or doing their makeup, or whatever it may be, eating in a car and so on. So we try to really lower that number.
The law takes effect July 1st of next year. Also going into effect, a law that requires all drivers over 18 to use hands-free devices.
When we see somebody with a phone up to their ear, they can be stopped for that, and that's anybody of any age.
Parents of teenagers say they believe the new law will be helpful.
It does give some teeth to parents' rules. We like to believe they listen to us and think we know everything, but.
So here's how to remember the laws. If you're over 18, it's hands-free. If you're under 18, it's hands-off. And if you violate either of these laws, it's $20 for the first fine and $50 for each fine after that. Of course, if you make an emergency call, that's exempted. Live in Redwood City, Patti Lee, KTVU, Channel 2 News.
The news has been pretty good for many Bay Area companies, too. But how do things look for the year ahead? KTVU's Patti Lee reports.
This rush of caffeine translated into a hot year for Oakland's Peerless Coffee Company.
We finished a year off with higher more business than we did before, and we're very pleased with 2006.
2006 was a good year for a lot of companies in the Bay Area and beyond. The Dow Jones Industrial Average pushed past 12,000 for the first time. And despite the slump in the housing market and hikes in interest rates, consumer confidence stayed high. But what about 2007?
The consensus is another rosy year, but that's often the consensus just before an implosion.
Harley Shaken is an expert in labor and the global economy.
2007 has some potential storm clouds. There's a lot of positive news, but we have a very unstable global economy in terms of the Middle East and oil prices. We have a housing slowdown that could become more severe.
How you guys doing?
Good. In San Francisco, Jerry Kennelly, CEO of Riverbed Technology, is sunnily optimistic, and for good reason. Riverbed was the top-performing IPO of the year.
It was our IPO that was sort of the seminal event of 2006 in the technology industry, and we opened the gate that now everyone is talking about for all the other companies.
In 2002, Kennelly and his business partner came up with the idea for the company at a coffee shop. The company makes corporate computer networks go much faster. Today,
we seem to be the fastest growing company in technology today, all in a 4-year period.
Riverbed's success is now the model for dozens of technology startups that may make their debuts this year. It could make 2007 the biggest year for tech IPOs since the year 2000.
2007, 2008, 2009, we don't really see an end to it right now.
That's the kind of exuberance Harley Shaken finds worrisome. He is not predicting a recession, but is betting the growth of the economy will slow down.
There's a lot of good news on the horizon, but there was a lot of good news right before the dot-com bubble burst in the 90s.
In the end, some economists say it may all boil down to consumer confidence, that if the public believes the economy will do well, it will spend as if the economy will do well. In a sense, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Regardless, spending does encourage economic growth. In Berkeley, Patti Lee, KTVU, Channel 2 News.
Thousands came clad in outrageous costumes, while others didn't wear a stitch of clothing. KTVU's Patti Lee reports.
Tortillas flew through the air as at least 60,000 people prepared for the starting gun.
We won it last year as the first centipede, so that's our goal today.
But Beta Breakers is not just about winning.
Last year I broke an hour, so I'm done. 59 minutes, so now I have nothing left. So I'm gonna jog walk, no stress.
It's a chance to celebrate a tradition now 96 years old.
And I was born and raised in San Francisco. I've been coming to this race every year for 20 years.
No one was quite sure why tortillas are used as frisbees or how costumes became so commonplace. But the race wouldn't be the same without them.
This is actually our superhero comic book. We got a comic sequence going on. There's been an explosion in San Francisco, and we're here to save the world.
After a quick start by the elite runners, the rest of the pack followed. And the race, as they say, was on.
Reminder, walkers to the right.
And as lighthearted as this race may be, many were running at full tilt.
Bananas are going to run over.
But not this group. Long after the race had started, these bananas still hadn't made it to the starting line.
Well, the gorillas had to escape from the zoo, but we're trying to coordinate with a bunch of people, and you know how things go with a bunch of people.
Beta Breakers is a visual feast. Because there are too many remarkable outfits to mention, here's a sampling. A Teletubby remembering Jerry Falwell, a mysterious pink being on a unicycle, and stormtroopers.
So you got people saying, oh, great costume, great costume. When you see the Star Wars outfits, they're like, wow, look at that. Like that. That's great.
Also great, the support from spectators.
There you go, you're welcome.
Who offered oranges, champagne, and strawberries to runners, and water to their dogs. In the meantime, musicians jammed for hours to keep the party going.
We're all in pink. We're just a party on wheels.
Beta Breakers started back in 1912 as a way to lift the city's spirits after the 1906 quake. And it's clear that tradition continues. But let's rewind to find out what happened to the elite runners. The race may not be about winning, but there are winners. And a woman from Kenya made history by crossing the finish line first. But all good things must end. And after a long day crossing the city, participants of this historic race headed home to rest and get ready for next year. In San Francisco, Patti Lee, KTVU, Channel 2 News.